Hello, everyone. Welcome to Patriots 3 Life, Liberty, Pursuit of Happiness. And here's your hosts, Tim, Tanya, and our special guest, John Leyzorek. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is actually a special kind of evening because this is 1 year since Patriots 3 has been going. So, definitely like, share, and follow where you can find Tim Holliday TV. That's TIMHOLLIDAY TV. And, it's also, a great year because later on this year, we're coming up to 250 years of the United States of America. Woo-hoo. That is really, really awesome.
Yes.
So tonight we're, definitely going to be touching up on some topics about some misconceptions about the United States Constitution. We're going to touch up on some of the party systems, a little bit about the two-party system and some other parties that were there prior. And we're definitely going to be touching up on some ways of moving forward with our U.S. Constitution. And John is, wow. Yeah. I mean, I've had some conversations with him in the past and very knowledgeable about, things going on with the Constitution. And it's wonderful to have you on tonight.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Tanya.
Thanks for being here.
When we hear about, just a quick little disclosure, we're not here to try to overthrow anything or, we're just here with facts and we're going to, give some of our opinions and, present more facts too. So just so the social medias don't take our show down. I know Facebook and YouTube can be a little sensitive to that. So that's why I try to direct everybody over to Rumble because Rumble is actually a lot less sensitive than a lot of other social media platforms. So we're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, and Twitch TV. So we're try to get some of those gamer kids over, and educate them a little bit more. And I was talking about education. We were just talking about that earlier about how we are not very well informed because of our education system and such. But one of the misconceptions. I mean, when we talk about the Second Amendment, everyone just hears the right to bear arms, and that's all they want to talk about. Is the right to bear arms. But, as it reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
That's the text. And there are lots of little bits of it that you can dig into. Some people find the term well-regulated worrisome or problematic, but you need to go and, look at what that word meant to the people that were writing it, and we can talk about that. But one of the words that I like to focus on is necessary. And then if you look elsewhere in the Constitution, you can see exactly how militia is supposed to fit into maintaining the security of the free state.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, no, very well said. And you're absolutely right too, because all these odd interpretations. I'm just like, enough of this.
Well, I like what John said before the show started. What'd you say, John, about our government? I'm just kidding.
Well, the government, one of the founders, maybe it was Jefferson, said government is but a necessary evil. And there are things that are better handled collectively than individually. The list is pretty short, but for those things, we put together governments. And the Declaration of Independence talks about that. It says it is to secure these rights that governments are instituted among men. And the fascinating thing about that is that, in a sense, in the strictly historical sense, it's a lie, because the actual formative history of governments usually is that some lazy, greedy thug says, "Oh, I get to, push people around and screw all the women if I get a bunch of other thugs to help me push people around," and all of a sudden you have a king. You can look at the Bible, you can look at 2 Samuel and find out what he said about kings. But if you look at it in another sense, the people who wrote the Declaration and who wrote the Constitution were brilliant people. So when I see that, I don't see a historical lie. I actually see a prescription for what it is that makes a legitimate government. So if they say it is to secure these rights that governments are instituted among men, if you have an institution in your country which calls itself a government which is not securing your rights, then it's not a government. According to it's something else, according to our founders.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So the history of the political parties in the United States, I'll bring this up on screen. I highlighted some things already on, well, I'll take out the highlight because something else popped up. But founders distrusted political parties. They saw them as engines of self-interest and division and were at odds with the public good. So I'll highlight this here. And
well, they also serve as a distraction, and
yes.
they also encourage lazy thinking. Instead of deciding what I really want and believe in, I can just sign up with some party and get carried along with the flow. It's a way for powerful interests to, you might say, to suborn big chunks of the electorate.
Right.
I'm the Democrats, so we got all these people. We're the Republicans, we got all these people, and the people abdicate their need to figure things out for themselves, and their interests are represented or misrepresented by a power structure.
Yeah.
I love how John does that.
But it's actually true, very well true.
Yeah,
well, it reminds me of the saying, the right wing and the left wing both belong to the same bird.
Yes.
Right. Essentially.
If you look at right wing politics, now the definitions have changed in my lifetime, but generally, right wing is thought of as being more authoritarian, and left wing is thought of as being less. But if you look at the ultimate extension of left wingedness, going over to communism, you can't have that without total authoritarianism, because people don't give up their property and their autonomy without being forced to. So really, the extremes of left and right converge at totalitarianism. So it's like the political parties, it's a distraction. It's a way to encourage people to focus on what isn't important so that they won't look at what is.
I love that. Let's tell it like it is around here. I love it.
Yeah.
I try.
Don't sugarcoat it, right? Tell it like it is.
Before this last Tuesday's show, I was talking with John Valle about I thought the Whig Party was the founding party of our nation, and I turned out when I was briefly looking at it, I was definitely wrong. And then talking with John Leyzorek here, he was informing me a little different, but it's definitely something to look up, because I know the internet can be changed instantly, and with AI, who knows what's true and what's not. But from what I'm seeing on the internet, the Whig Party was a political party in the United States that was active from the 1830s to the 1850s, formed in opposition to President Andrew Jackson and the Democratic Party. It aimed to promote economic moderation and internal improvements, but ultimately struggled with internal division, particularly over slavery, leading to its decline in the rise of the Republican Party. So that's what AI. So the AI synopsis is saying that. And that's where I'm not too sure about all that.
We'll take that for what it's worth. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
When people tell me they read it on the internet, I go, whoa, like what web page was it? Was it like just some random person's web page, or was it like Wikipedia? Like, what the hell was it you read it on? Is it valid? I don't know.
Yeah, one thing you should always pay attention to when you look something on the internet is the answer to my question potentially controversial? Does the answer could the answer, if the answer were manipulated, would that advance someone's interests? And if the answer is yes, then you have to be very suspicious of the answer. If you're looking up, how many atoms in the propane molecules, then that's not going to butter anybody's bread to lie about that. So that's probably reliable.
That is actually true.
So I want to put the proper spelling for Whig as WHIG for the audio listeners, because I'll be putting the show onto iHeart, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts later on this evening. But so that's WHIG. So I just put in the Whig Party and searched it on your favorite search web browser, and that's what this one came up with. So again, take it from the source as a source is qualified to give.
It's like Chat GBT or GPT, whatever it's called. Like everybody goes on there and they write their speeches with it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Well, history is so important and so informative, but some of it is not immediately very relevant. A lot of people love to try to discredit the Democrats today by pointing out that they were the party of slavery for a long time. But I don't, maybe they were, and maybe it's still in their DNA, but
Right.
I don't think it matters. Today, I look at the policies that are advocated by individuals. The party label. The party label becomes important if people are going to let themselves be manipulated by it. If they're going to choose to vote as a block, then the position that the block takes becomes important. But I'm interested in principles, not labels. And we were talking before the show started about how parties are a lovely way to distract people from thinking about the issues. They're a lovely way for a powerful person to claim that they control a large percentage of the people because they're registered in this party. When that's really misleading.
Correct. Yes. Before go ahead, Tanya.
No, I just always thought it was weird. Like when I first started voting when I was a kid, you go to the voting polls, you can only vote one way or the other. You can't, if you do Republican or Democrat, you have to do it all the way through. It's like a thing. And I didn't know that. I thought I could change it up.
You don't. Well, I don't know about your state, but in most states, you don't have to vote a straight ticket. It's an option. You can vote for all the people in a single party, but I've never done it that way.
In California, I don't know.
In California, in the state of California, it's the midterms where you can vote for anybody and everybody, or well, I can't say everybody because you only have one or two choices depending on what the position of the election is. But the primaries, the primaries, you're stuck with that one party you're registered to.
Most of the time, some of the parties recently have decided to allow members of any party to vote in their primary. And I'm not sure why that's a good idea. Elections, I have to jump in and say elections are important. Very important to get the best possible people in there. But we have to look at what happens, and we have to look at the piss poor choices we often have. I never miss an election, but I always say there's very seldom anything I want to vote for. There's always something I want to vote against. It's a pretty sorry state of affairs. And the other thing is that however good you may think the candidate that you vote for or you elect is, the track records of these people once they get in office are generally terrible. And that's one of the huge open questions that what I've been working on for a few years now addresses. How do you make sure that once they're elected, they do the job you elected them to do?
Right. And that they said they would do, right? Like this is how they ran on. And
well, and then the other thing is some people run on things that are frankly illegal. If someone runs on the promise that they're going to raise your welfare payments, please find that for me in the Constitution. They are promising to do something that is unlawful.
Right.
And but unfortunately, a lot of people like that. People vote for what they think is their perceived self-interest. Oh, my check's going to get bigger. It sounds good. If it means that the society's falling apart around me, who cares about that? My check.
I mean, the late Robin Williams.
It goes back to education. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. But the late Robin Williams, a comedian, he said, the politicians should wear their sponsors on their jacket, just like a NASCAR driver, so you can actually see who's behind the scenes.
You can see whose money they're taking. Yes, that would.
So I want to drop a link in the chat, and everyone should be able to see it later on too, because I'll put it in the show description. The FEC or www.fec.gov, you can actually see some of the expenditures, donations, so on and so forth. So you can actually, go down that rabbit hole, so to speak, and find out who's who, who's donating to them, and if they're receiving it, that's definitely some red flags or green flags, depending on your stance for that.
Yep.
Foundation for Economic Education. They're a good outfit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So as we were talking before the show too, is a lot of these distractions are like breadcrumbs and circuses. And this takes us back to the days of the Caesars.
Sure.
Julius and Augustus Caesar, and everyone's so distracted. Again, they have work or kids and so on and so forth. John Valle. He's staying with his job. He has a little bit of time with the kids, and then he has time to take care of things that he likes to do, government, and everyone should get involved with county governments.
Yeah, that's where we're lagging in the Freedom of Information Act. I mean, it's ridiculous. In California, to get like the expenditures from the county for like property taxes or something, you can't get anything.
Yeah,
it's extremely expensive. If you can get it, if they ever actually provide it, it's like, you know, $5 a page or something stupid, and you have hundreds of pages. So like, who's going to do that?
Yeah, they don't make it easy.
No, it should be free online for everybody to see.
Yeah,
sure.
It's our money. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, so, and I want to know who voted for the extra 50 cents a gallon of gas in California.
Right. So, well, when I was talking with Pastor Jerry Cook from Politics in the Pulpit there in Southern California, he's saying, I was saying there's 61 cents in tax per gallon in California. He actually corrected me, saying it's more like 81 because there's actually some other little hidden things. So
the 50 cents was recently another 50 cents they just added. And I'm like, nobody would have voted for that. We're already paying way too much money. Nobody in their right mind is going to do that.
But everybody should actually get a hold of the Department of Agriculture, and there should be a little sticker on your gas pumps. And I've noticed that across the nation because I've traveled the states a number of times. And get in touch with the Department of Agriculture and find out what's really going on. California's definitely been a nightmare. They're closing or attempting to close a couple of refineries. Hopefully there'll be some open. I actually have a couple of friends that work at refineries, and it's definitely detrimental, very stressful for them, and also detrimental to everyone there in the state of California. I even actually seen a video where Jay Leno's getting involved as far as making some changes in some state legislation, along with Shannon Grove of Kern County and Kern County, California, and a lot of other people are trying to get things turned around for California. But again, it is we the people. So all y'all in California, get involved, do something.
I know we try everything, and it's like they still just shoot you down.
Yeah,
no matter what.
Yeah, so this is some things that we'll be talking about a little bit of what John is doing. John Leyzorek. There's too many Johns in this world. Sorry, I have a cousin John or brother John. It's a true story.
I have an Uncle John.
I do too. But so let's shift gears a little bit about so the way things are written in the Constitution, it prevents things from being like a shadow government or ghost governments being formed, correct, John?
Well, the basic Republican structure is set forth in the Constitution. It says that one of the purposes of the federal government is to guarantee to every state or to the citizens of every state a Republican form of government, which means one that is representative and one that is ruled by laws that are consistent rather than by the passing whims of people in power. And that's kind of a rule of law versus rule by men is a very important principle that underlies this whole thing. We talk about we the people, and yes, because our lives are impacted by what government does, it is vital that we have a role. But one of the interesting things about this country and the history of this country and the opinions of the founders is that we are not, and we're not supposed to be, a democracy. Democracy is a word that everybody likes to throw around. Oh, isn't it wonderful? We must protect our democracy. But some people say democracy is 3 wolves and a sheep voting on what's going to be for dinner. And I like to sometimes put it even more crudely and say that gang rape is a pure expression of democracy.
Yeah,
democracy. Human beings, all of us human beings, us 3 and everyone else, is full of passions and full of injustice and full of imperfect understanding and full of the impulse to do something before we have it all figured out. And what is supposed to restrain that is law, which is an unchanging framework that is, whether you want to look at it as the distillation of centuries and centuries of human experience, whether you want to look at it as something that's handed down by God, which is, I guess, the way I look at it, true law doesn't change. Some people summarize it by saying there are only 2 principles of law. One is do not trespass on someone else's rights, and the other is do what you have promised. And those really, you can extend them and apply them everywhere. If you want to use the 10 Commandments, that's good too. But anything that we humans do, which we like to call law, has to be founded in the fundamentals in natural law or divine law, however you want to put it. Otherwise, it's not legitimate. Now, that's a very important thing that is not taught in the schools. We are taught in schools, media, everywhere. As soon as a bunch of soft-handed crooks under a granite dome vote for something, it's the law. Some people, when they see the car with the blue lights flashing, saying, "Oh, here comes the law." That's a police officer. That's a legislature. A legislature could pass a law saying that, gravity will no longer apply. You can let go of something, and it will not fall. Well, obviously, legislatures are powerless to do that because that is the physical portion of natural law. The moral portion of natural law, for reasons best known to himself, God has left us free to break natural law, but not without consequences. But nonetheless, the moral law, the natural moral law, is as valid as the law of gravitation. And if you look at how societies work and do not work, and the societies that prosper and the societies that don't, you can see that natural law is a real thing which we need to respect. And one of the things that's going wrong, and we're kind of touching on little corners of this phenomenon in our wandering conversation here, is that true law, is less and less respected, especially by people in power. One of the reasons that it is less and less respected is that more and more garbage is wrongly given the name of law. When some town council passes a law, enacts something which says that your lawn has to be between this long and that long, then people say, "Ooh, it's a law," but it isn't, because it's not addressing any actual right of any individual. It's not securing any right. It's just an arbitrary exaction or an oppression. So, but the more of that is out there, the more people are encouraged to disrespect the law. Ordinary people disrespect the law in all kinds of ways, but then the people in power disrespect it in even more injurious and fundamental ways, and they get away with it. And at some point tonight, we need to talk about why they get away with it.
Yeah, I want to know that.
Yes, I know in California, they state legislation passes these laws, or supposed laws. They're not true laws, but they pass things that actually harm kids, and it goes against their state constitution as well as I believe also the United States Constitution. And trying to get back on track here, we're talking about shadow governments or ghost governments. California has been trying to split the state a couple of different times. I don't know if that's going to be successful or not, because our Constitution is a section Article 4, Section 3. We were talking about this, John and myself, where new states may be admitted by the Congress into the Union, but no new state shall be formed or erected within the jurisdiction of any other state, nor any state be formed by the junction of two or more states or parts of states without the consent of legislation of the states concerned, as well as the Congress. And I believe they're saying the Congress as the United States Congress here.
Correct.
Right.
The Congress shall have power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory or other property belonging to the United States, and nothing in this Constitution shall be so construed as to prejudice any claims of the United States or any particular state. Hopefully I've read that clear enough. I sound like a robot when I'm talking. I almost sound like William Shatner because I pause way too many times when I read. It's terrible. Sorry.
There is a little bit of an apparent ambiguity in there, because as I understand it, the Constitution only authorizes the United States to own land for docks, maybe post roads, military bases. So historically, the United States government has claimed, and still continues to claim, ownership of vast amounts of land. And I'm not convinced that that's lawful at all.
No.
But, be that as it may, the passages we were talking about had to do with partition of states, and it's very understandable that somebody with a conservative or sensible state of mind or mindset in California would want very much to be out from under the California government in Sacramento. So yes. However, because governments look after their self-interest, and a smaller state has less power and less revenue than a bigger one, it seems very unlikely to me that any state would consent to being partitioned.
Right. Yeah. That makes no sense, really, huh?
And John and myself were talking about 2 other states wants to join, Idaho. But again, they have to follow this part of, Article 4, Section 3.
Yeah.
And
that's strange.
And so the parts of the state of Washington, as well as so the eastern part of Washington and the eastern part of Oregon want to join Idaho. And I don't blame them. I'd want to too. If you've seen the politics and what's all going on with a lot of different crises going on there in those states. Again, created these you put it best earlier, John, how they create these distractions, so to speak, because they're not natural law.
Right. And they create them to benefit themselves. So and they know how to break them because they created them, right?
Yeah.
They know every way to kind of the ins and outs of it, so they can do whatever they want, basically.
Well, they do what they want because we're not doing our job.
Right.
If you look at the structure, if you look at what's in the Constitution, we the people are supposed to be in charge in a number of different ways, which we just haven't exercised for most, if not all, of the life of our country. And that's because it's work, and people don't like work. People want to let somebody else do it.
Yeah. Like you said, we're fat and lazy, right?
Yes.
I love that. I do love that. What state do you live in, John?
I live in West Virginia.
Okay.
Tim and I were talking before the show about how, in my opinion, West Virginia is not really a lawfully constituted state. It happened during Lincoln's War. It happened so as to guarantee to the Union the availability of the timber and coal resources in the western part of Virginia. And it's water. I like to say it's water under the dam now. It's not worth complaining about. Just like the Whigs and the Tories, or what the Democrats believed in 1865. It's a historical curiosity. We have plenty to do to start fixing things now, going forward, without going down too many historical rabbit holes. Now, the history is important if it helps us to understand what the true law is. What our true and proper options are, if it helps us avoid pitfalls, because those people tried it a couple hundred years ago and look at where they ended up. History is very useful, but to get too attached to, I don't know, historical loyalties, or to the minutia of what was done wrong, it can be interesting, but I got too much to do to pay a lot of attention to it.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do we start to change it? How do we the people stand up and make changes?
Well, glad you asked. So we talked a little bit about law.
Yeah.
Law is the mechanism by which a government secures the rights of the governed, which is a phrase out of the Declaration of Independence, which is the title of my website, Secure These Rights. So many, if not most, of the problems we see now is because the people in power are not abiding by the law. They're taking money where they're not allowed to. They're exercising powers where they're not allowed to. They're doing all this terrible stuff. They're perverting justice, corrupting justice, endangering us all. But they get away with it. Well,
how?
So if there were no police, then I might walk into the bank and help myself, because it'd be nice to have some more money, but I don't do well. There are no reasons for that I don't do it, but I might have some moral compunctions of my own. But a lot of people don't walk into the bank and help themselves because there is a thing called law enforcement, and they're afraid they're going to get put in jail. However,
and consequences.
How often do politicians go to jail? When a politician in Virginia votes for a bill which would confiscate implements of self-defense from the citizens of the country, he is violating the Second Amendment. He is violating U.S. Code Title 18, Section 242. Does he go to jail? Does he think he might go to jail? Is he worried about going to jail? No. Well, why is he not worried about going to jail? The reason he's not worried about going to jail is that the power structure will not enforce the law against itself. Simple self-interest. Your chief of police, if he knows that the mayor is a crook, the chief of police is not going to arrest the mayor because the mayor signs his paychecks. So
Correct.
this is why, are we stuck? Or do we just, have to
Yeah.
agree that the people in power will never abide by the law? No, our founders knew this very well. Our founders
Right.
were brilliant people. So they set forth in the Constitution how the law was to be enforced and from outside the institutional government. If you look at the Constitution, nowhere does it say there should be a Department of Justice. Nowhere does it say there
Right.
should be
Right.
a national police. So, oh my
Right.
God, why not? What's going to keep everything straight? Well, so the
Yeah, you're right.
Constitution, the Constitution includes three ancient common law enforcement modalities that go back over 1,000 years in English
Okay.
common law. They are the jury, the petty
Mhm.
jury, which decides whether there is evidence during a trial that someone is guilty and whether the law is correctly applied to it. And if the
Okay.
jury says the law is wrong or the evidence wasn't sufficient, the person goes free. That law might as well not exist. The grand
Wow.
jury the grand jury also goes back 1,000 years. You find it, if anybody cares, in the year, I believe it's 997 AD, in an English
Mhm.
document called the Dooms of King Ethelred. Grand jury has the power. Grand jury is just a deputation of ordinary citizens that have
Right.
the authority to investigate anything that they think needs investigating within their geographic jurisdiction. And
Right.
this is not just a historical curiosity, because the extensive authority of the grand jury was confirmed as recently as 1992 in a U.S. Supreme
Wow.
Court decision called U.S. versus Williams, written by Justice Antonin Scalia.
Wow.
So the third, and now the jury is not part of the government. It's a bunch of ordinary people that are brought in
Right.
to do a job. The
Yeah, a
grand
jury of
jury
your peers.
is
Yes.
the
Right.
grand
That's
jury
what it
is
should
not a
be.
part of the grand jury is not a part of the government. A bunch of ordinary people brought in to do a
Right.
job. Again, referencing Scalia, they can tell the prosecutor to leave the room. They do not,
Yeah.
we're taught that the grand jury it's a formality. It's the lapdog of the prosecutor. The prosecutor
Right.
says, here, look at these papers and see if you find an indictment. The grand jury can say, I don't want to look at those papers. We're going to do an investigation. We're going to
Right.
subpoena the sheriff and bring him testify. We're going to, collect these documents. We're going to do this and that. And you, Mr. Prosecutor, you, Mr. Judge, you need to leave the room because we're just seeing
Right.
about you guys. The grand jury,
Right.
if the grand jurors knew they had that power, they have the power to do that. Now,
Yeah. They know.
if they try to exert that power, let's say they want to bring in the sheriff for questioning. So they say, all right, we're going to sign it. Here's a warrant. And they hand it to one of the sheriff's deputies and says, go bring in your boss. Think that's going to happen?
No.
Probably not. So
Def-
the third law enforcement element described in the Constitution, also not a part of the institutional government, is
right.
militia.
Okay.
The Second Amendment, the first clause of the Second Amendment says a well-regulated militia being
Yeah.
necessary to the security of a free state. Now,
Right.
you look at security of a free state and you go back to the Declaration of Independence and you understand that security means security of the rights of the citizens. We're not talking about the institutional self-interest of the state government. We're talking
Right.
about the people.
Correct.
If you look at Article 1, Section 8, Clause 15 in the Constitution, it says Congress shall have power to call forth the militia to execute the law, suppress
Right.
insurrections, and repel invasions. Now, it's fascinating and useful to go into some of the minutiae here. If you want to, we'll talk about the word regulated, well regulated, which irritates some people because the modern use of the word regulated is very different from what is meant there. But also, if you look at this Article 1, Section 8, Clause 15, it's ostensibly about the power of Congress. Congress shall have power to call forth the militia. But we need to understand what it doesn't say. Remember that the people who wrote the Constitution were brilliant. They were economical. There's not a word
Right.
out of place. There's not an extra word. There's not one you can
Right.
lose. So it says
Right.
Congress shall have power. It does not say Congress shall have exclusive power.
Right.
If you look at militia, as it was well known and well understood in the 1700s, if
Right.
they saw smoke over the horizon, they didn't have to wait for Congress. There wasn't any Congress. They didn't have to wait for
Right.
somebody
Go
to
put
call
out
in
the
forth
fire.
to go and see what was going on, whether it was the Indians burning a village or somebody's barn caught fire. If
Right.
the mayor knew about something needed taken care of, if the state
Right.
governor or provincial colonial governor, and again, if a militia member sees the smoke, he's not going to sit on his hands and wait for somebody to blow the whistle. So
right.
Congress will
Yeah.
have power to call forth the militia, but that's not exclusive power, and we understand the nature of militia. So the
Right.
other thing it doesn't say, so it says to execute the law, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. Another thing it doesn't say, it says Congress shall have power to call forth. It doesn't say Congress shall have power to authorize the militia to do these things. And the
Right.
reason it doesn't say that is that it doesn't have to. The militia is we the people. We the people have all the God-given authority to protect our own lives and property, to do what needs to be done. So again, we have to look at what it doesn't say. So what Article 1, Section 8, Clause 15 does that is unique and important is that it recognizes the authority, it recognizes law enforcement authority and political authority of an institution which was almost 1,000, which was 700 years old, 800 years old then, or more, and which everybody was familiar with, but the Constitution gave it a unique and special place in our system. So hopefully we now can see institutional government does not police itself because it's against its institutional self-interest. Why should I'm Mr. Big Shot? Why should I curtail my power? I don't want to go to jail. I want to keep taking that money and diddling with those women. So why should I? But we, the people on the outside, whose daughters are being diddled and whose money is being taken away, we want to enforce the law against the big shots. So and this is the mechanism. The grand jury is the investigative body. The militia is the enforcing body. So if a warrant needs to be executed, somebody needs to be arrested. And I have no problem with paid police agencies. It's nice. It's nice to have one if your community can afford it and if they do the right thing. Not everybody wants to get out of bed when something goes bump in the night. That's fine as long as they're doing their job. But because they are a part of the institutional government, paid by the institutional government, their job security is controlled by the institutional government. The most dangerous kinds of crime today, those committed by government, cannot be addressed by the paid police forces or by the three-letter agencies because they're all on the inside. So that's why the Constitution contemplates that we, the people, do it. Now, some people get all carried away and they want to start kicking ass and taking names and all this, but what we are talking about is securing rights. We're talking about enforcing law, which protects everyone's rights, even somebody you think might be a bad guy. He's got rights until you convict him. So you need to have careful investigation. You need to have trial. Nobody just because what the Constitution says is militia has authority to execute the law, not to go out kicking around the masses, because that is violating due process, that violates everyone's rights. So the key is it must be done by due process. And some people are so pissed off and so angry with the way things have gone, they don't want to have patience with that. But that's unfortunate. We have to be grown-ups. We have to have patience, because if we let chaos out of the bag, we're not going to put it back in. So it is crucial that as we bring these necessary constitutional institutions back into the positions that they need to occupy, that we do it according to law. And we have to cleanse away, generations of disrespect for law that has been created by stuff that isn't really law, that's called law, by corruption of the ministers of the law. And that's water under the dam. It's too bad. It's awful. It's horrible. But the solution to that is not less law, but more law. The people who corrupt it, people who misrepresent it, people who misapply it, people who pervert it, they need to go to jail. But they need to go to jail according to the true law.
Yes.
Unfortunately, there are no shortcuts. And the process, we can talk about the this sounds all lovely and theoretical. We can talk about the nuts and bolts process if you want, and it's not easy. It's kind of simple but not easy. But I do not see a viable alternative to doing the right thing, to getting things back to the design of the Constitution, if we're not going to lose it all.
Yeah. Wow.
We've gone to hell in a handbag, you guys.
We talked about due process. I mean, is there an overdue process? Because there's certain things that seem to be well overdue. I mean, we hear about, how long things take, and it's an act of Congress. But I mean, I'll give the JFK files an example. What really happened to JFK. They've been suppressing those, and we talked about shadow or ghost governments earlier. And I do believe strongly that certain 3-letter agencies are that those entities of either being shadow or ghost governments.
Some people call that the deep state.
Yeah.
Some people call that the deep state, right?
Yeah.
And again, one of the tools that is used to distract people from what they could be doing and to encourage despair so that they do nothing is to concentrate on the crimes of the big shots at the top. Look at all the terrible stuff Bill Gates did. Look at what Bill Clinton did. Look what some people think Trump is breaking the law. Look at the big shots, but they're far away. They're in DC. Where we need to start is where we can reach. If we recreate local militia with local political support because of the good that we do in our own communities, we start with the crooked member of the school board. We start with a crooked sheriff. We start with a crooked tax collector.
They try to get rid of them. Yeah.
Right. We start with the drug dealer in town that's too tough for the cops to tackle, for the paid cops to tackle. Once we take care of a few of those, people in neighboring jurisdictions who may not have, been as enthusiastic about the process as we were, they'll say, wow, look at all the good stuff they're doing in the next county. Let's go ask them how they did it. We begin to build a network of communities which are operating according to the Constitution, which are enforcing the law according to the Constitution. Once you have a network, I don't know how dense the network needs to be. We need to figure out a lot of this as we go along, because it's never been done in spite of having been in the founding documents from the beginning. But we need to start now. Once our network is strong enough, we have what amounts to mutual aid agreements with militias and other jurisdictions. We have good communications. We have good intelligence collection. Then we start going after crooked state legislators, and there are plenty of those. Once a few of those guys go to jail, it'll be like autumn leaves falling. The people resigning from those offices before they go to jail. That will open up a lot of seats for people who think of public service as public service rather than as a license to steal. So the process needs to trickle up. If we obsess about George Soros and Bill Gates and all those people, we're going to get nothing done, because we can't reach them yet. Now, if we got rid of all of the bad apples in the local FBI office, and we got rid of the bad apples in your state police, then the crooks in your state capital could pass all of the non-laws they wanted, and there wouldn't be thugs to enforce them, because those people would go to jail, or they would have been replaced by people who say, sorry, Charlie, that's not law. I'm not going to enforce that. So we need to take hold of our country at the local level, where we can understand the character of people face to face, where we can build political leverage. One of the things that I've learned living in a very small place is that most local elections are decided by a very small number of votes. If you have 1 or 2% of the people in your local area that are on the same page with you, that are working on this, you talk to all the people you knock on some doors, you can probably swing some local elections. And when you need an ordinance passed to support this process, you can make sure that your local governing body has people on it who respect the Constitution.
Right. Well, that's why I wanted to start with, so you pay property taxes to this board of people, and they get to make all these lovely decisions for you, but none of them are ever for us. They don't still do roads. They don't do. So I know this money is going somewhere, and it's an astronomical amount of money, you guys. Yep. I mean, it's not like a little bit of money. It is like, billions. It's got a lot of zeros. It's way more zeros than anybody could ever imagine. I mean, literally, right? $1 billion is 1,000 million. You know what I mean? That's a lot of dang money.
Yeah.
So what are they doing with it?
Not paying off the national debt is what they're not doing with it.
They're not putting in any roads or lights, or they're not maintaining anything, you guys. And that's just on our little local level here. So if we can go in, John, and we can cancel these people that are misappropriating funds or whatever it is that they're actually doing, because it's not coming back here anywhere. You know what I mean? Yep. So that's how we can start locally, right?
Yes.
To get rid of those people, as start low and work our way up.
Well, I mean, as it says in John's website here, there's a third part on his about page about the divine law, sometimes called natural or universal moral law. So
moral law.
It's something that's real. It is woven into the fabric of existence as surely as the law of gravitation, as John was explaining earlier when he dropped something on his table there. Human law is valid only to the extent that it conforms to and subserves divine law. Yes. You know better. Go ahead, John.
This is non-coherent.
John's gonna read it.
It is not a coincidence that this is analogous to the principle that Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, John Marshall, established in Marbury versus Madison, that a law repugnant to the Constitution is void. So if it doesn't conform to and subserve divine law, it's not law.
Right.
Now, that's not what the judge will tell you in your court. That's not what the police officer will tell you, but they are serving their own, maybe their personal, their institutional self-interest.
Right. It's not a theory of your peers.
They're human like we are, so they're going to do that some of the time. But we need to weed out the people who are going to serve themselves and replace them with people who will serve the law and the people.
Right. I agree.
So John,
there's a lot of good people.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. You go, Tim.
No. Go ahead. Continue, and then I'll cut in after.
No, I said there's a lot of good people out there that would love to do the job, right? That would really love to help and be, useful, not just greedy and fat and lazy is what John said.
Yeah, overall not in there for self-interest. Yeah.
Right.
Hopefully this podcast will reach a lot of them, and they will pile into my website, and we will start to get some organizations going.
So speaking of your website, tell us a little bit more about your website.
Yes.
So I guess I should take a few giant steps back. In 2017, I read an article on a lovely site called Survival Blog that was written by a gentleman named David Zuniga, who lives in Texas. Okay. And he, over quite a few years, came up with a comprehensive plan for fixing the republic that he calls Tactical Civics. And he has an organization by that name. And I joined his organization, very excited to find it and do it. When I joined the organization, they knew that we needed militia as a primary law enforcement entity, but they actually were not sure how to make it legally clear that it was the militia specified in the Constitution with the authority specified in the Constitution. And that was my major contribution to that organization and that plan to set forth the law under which we can guarantee that is a viable assertion. But in any event, David and I parted company in 2022. We had a sort of a persistent growing disagreement about exactly how militia should be reconstructed and where we should look for people to work with. So at that point, I could not give up on the mission because it is so important. It's so vital. My area of concentration within his organization was on what I now call constitutional law enforcement, the first few steps in his larger plan. And that's what I'm still working on. And that's why I created my website, to just have a place where I could put all the stuff that I have written about it, where people could go to learn, what I have learned and what I have developed about how the process should work. And Tim has put up I guess that's the homepage.
Yes.
I ain't no web designer, so it's kind of rough, but there are a lot of blog articles on there, which you may find interesting. There are a lot of files. I wrote a book about this process, which is right here. And you can actually read the book for free on the website. You don't have to buy one. If you want to buy one, that's great, but you don't have to. You can order it at any bookstore. That's what the website is about. It's supposed to contain everything that I've been able to figure out and learn about how to get this process going and where it should lead.
Okay. Yeah. What's the website again, you guys? I didn't catch the name of the website.
securetheserights.net.
Oh, correct. That's easy. I like that.
A phrase stolen out of the Declaration of Independence. A little funny thing about me. The reason that I was able to find in the Declaration of Independence, the legal principles that got tactical civics out of the ditch, so to speak, is because I have read the Declaration of Independence out loud on the courthouse steps in my home county. I think this coming 4th of July will be 25 times. So
wow.
it's given me a certain familiarity with the document. So when I was thinking about this problem, I thought, wait a minute, the solution is in the Declaration of Independence, which is generally recognized as the first organic law of our republic.
Okay, so securetheserights.net. Net.
Yes.
I was going to say org, so net.net people.
.net. .net was the one I could get cheap, and I don't have a lot of money to put into this. So
right.
I understand.
You're doing good work, though. We appreciate you.
Well, I feel very blessed to have, alternately blessed and irritated to have this mission now that's taking over my life. But I'm very. I mean, without going into a lot of history, I've been banging my head against various aspects of the lawless government for many years, and it was a great revelation to me to run into this plan. I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, so when I learned about this, I said, well, this has all the pieces that it needs to work.
Right. That's awesome.
It's got all four wheels in the engine and the transmission and springs, and it's got all the pieces are there. We just need to actually find them and bolt them together, and this will work. So that's what I've been trying to do since then.
I love that. Yeah,
everybody here saying, keep up the good work, brother.
That's right.
As we all should be getting in there and doing some work.
I can't let it go. I mean, I did not want to do this. I came to West Virginia, I don't know, about 35 years ago, hoping to just disappear into the woods. But I learned you can't do that. There is no disappearing.
Right.
The evils of the world will come and find you. And even and beyond, and then I have children, for whose future I am concerned, and I have people I love and neighbors, and so I'm doing this. I don't like to blow my horn. I'm doing this mostly out of self-defense. Don't care about you or anybody else. I'm doing this out of self-defense. But it is also, I think, an ethical and moral obligation. To try to make a difference. Because I'm not the only one that's getting stepped on.
Right.
You see something wrong, you're supposed to try to fix it, right? That is your obligation, right?
Well, when the whole government closure happened in 2020, or not government closure, but the government closed down the people in 2020, that's when a lot of people started getting a lot more involved. Sometimes the direction was not correct, but they got involved.
Most everybody who is awake can point to an event that woke them up.
Yes.
Mine was 9/11.
Yeah,
because as a mechanical engineer, I saw the footage and saw the official explanation, and a couple of days went by, and then I said, "Wait a minute,
that's not jiving." It wasn't
Something
jiving.
Doesn't add up. Yeah.
No, that was premeditated murder, and again, who specifically committed it? A lot of those people are dead. A lot of those people are beyond our reach. But if we start working, on our own streets, in our own neighborhoods. We need to build the structure, build the power, build the reach, and we can eventually get to those people that ordered that.
Yeah,
I like that.
And long before we get to the people that ordered that, we pull their teeth, because again, if they don't have thugs and henchmen to come and beat you up in your neighborhood because you put them all in jail, then they can talk all they want about how they want to kill you. It doesn't matter. Or
they're going to be locked up anyway.
Or how they want your money, or how they want to stick needles in you. It doesn't matter what they say if you have arranged that the law is enforced in your community.
Right. And it's important. Yeah.
Yes.
It's very important. And there's no and this has proven to be a very hard sell. There are a handful of groups around the country that are actually working on this project step by step. Nobody has it fully operating yet, as far as I know. But there is no, one of the many arguments that I use to try to get people going is there is no wasted effort, because you have your eye on saving the republic, but the first dozen things you need to do are the same exact things you need to do to protect your family the next time the power goes out, to protect your family if there's a flood, to protect your family if there's a riot, to make sure that you don't go to jail for something you didn't do, to make sure that you don't starve if the supply chain disappears. There is no wasted effort, because it starts starts in your heart, in your body, in your family, in your home, in your neighborhood, in your county. And all of these are things that are eminently practical and necessary for your own self-preservation and that of the people you love, and also arguably your moral duty to your neighbor.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. True.
I am not urging anybody to do anything that will be a waste, even if the world ends or something crazy happens before the whole plan reaches fruition. I mean, I hope it will, but we need to keep our heads down and go, first step, second step, third step, fourth step. If we're looking up at the 15th step, we're going to fall on our nose and get nothing done.
Right. So be systematic about it. Start from here, work your way like you're supposed
to. There are resources on my website about that. There's a document called Rollout Critical Path. There's all kinds of
I love that
about what you need to do first and second and third.
Oh, thank you for doing that, John. That's good work. That's a lot of work.
I'm not a good guy. I'm just interested in self-preservation.
No, believe me, I want to go off grid and tell people get off my lawn. But you're right. There's no way really to do that. And
I've been off the grid for 35 years.
Yeah.
Right. And you kind of got to be when you're setting a foundation like that, because you might be on somebody's watch list, right? You got to be careful.
I don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Don't worry. It's not worth worrying about it.
Nope.
You can decide to do nothing because you're scared.
Or you can just
if you look at the agenda of the World Economic Forum, of the globalists, they want to kill you anyway.
Yeah.
Even if you vote a Democrat, they still want to kill you. So
true.
You don't have anything to lose by working to defend yourself against them. And if you do your job right, and if you get yourself a group together of like-minded people who can look out for each other, then all of a sudden you have some serious defensive capability.
Right.
So,
I appreciate
it. People who won't do this because they're scared of getting on a list, they're
I don't
trying to pull their head out of someplace dark because they're not thinking it through.
Yeah.
You're
not afraid.
All already on a list.
Yeah. They watch everything any of us do anyways. They can after 9/11, right? After 9/11, our rights went out the window.
Well, they were going out the window for a long time before that.
Probably.
The process continues to accelerate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And the problems keep on getting bigger and bigger. So they keep passing these non-natural supposed laws.
Right.
And it just keeps on compounding and getting bigger and bigger. So
you're right.
We should, and one thing I said for quite a long time, and I, just thought about this is, I don't like politics. I don't like being involved in any of it. And I have been, some smaller levels in the local community I used to live in. But what I should start turning around and thinking of is, I like natural law, so I should get more involved in natural law and ways to protect that, just as yourself, John.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah. Yeah, we need that.
Spin it around into something positive. I was just thinking about that just, while you two were talking. I was just like wandered off in my own mind for a second. And
took a little trip down John's website lane.
Right.
Figure out how to do it. Yeah.
So this is a really good website. A lot of good information in here. Anything more you want to say about the website before we close this out?
Well, probably not. Read it, look at it. If anybody's interested, there's an opportunity to comment on the blog articles. I should give you my email address. It's just like the website. It's securetheserights@protonmail.com. If anybody wants to get a hold of me, you can also find me on Telegram if you like to talk on Telegram. If anybody is interested in actually doing this, obviously, I hope they'll read the website a while before they ask me specific questions, so I don't have to explain everything over and over 1,000 times. But any questions that are not covered, if anybody has a group of people that are getting together that would like to do this in their own area, or if you have an event which is going to attract a lot of people who might be interested in this, I do speaking engagements. I'm happy to come and talk to to your little handful of people, or to a whole stadium full or auditorium full of people, if you can pull that together, because it's important. People need to know about this. People need hope. A lot of people are doing nothing because they are in despair, And the despair is engineered by the power structure. They keep passing all these so-called laws. They're so powerful. They're watching all of us, so there's nothing we can do. But that's not true. That's what they want us to think.
Now we got direction. I like the direction. Thank you.
So what is your website again?
www.secure these.
Oh, not the website, your email address. My apologies.
It's
at Proton.
Secure these rights at protonmail.com.
Okay, so it's .com, not .me. Okay, I just wanted to verify that.
Right, that was an option. I don't know. Proton does it both ways, but mine is. I don't know where you would go if you did proton.me. Maybe it would be the same place, but I don't know.
It'd probably find you, John.
I'll give you a call when I find some free time. We'll go over some of this tech stuff because I am a technician as well. So we'll definitely keep in touch, John. And always wonderful conversation with you. And looking forward to talking to you very soon.
Appreciate your time. Thank you for letting me use your platform.
Yes, you're welcome. And ladies and gentlemen, be sure to follow, subscribe. Where you can find Tim Holliday TV, TimHolliday TV. Yeah, you can find this broadcasted on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch TV, Rumble, which I strongly suggest, and it'll be also on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So be sure to tune in, share it with your friends. The more people that get the word, the better this platform will grow. And until next time, yes, definitely. But until next time, have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
Good night.